term third party is used to describe a political party that competes with the two major parties in a two-party dominant system. In the United States, because of the supremacy of the Democrats and Republicans, the term is often used to signify any minor party. One of the most influential third-party movements in the United States was the Populist Party of the 19th century. The Populists backed reforms aimed at promoting democratic government and curbing the power of corporations, supporting policies such as a graduated income tax and the direct election of senators. Though the movement faded, some of its goals were later adopted. Sometimes, third-party candidates play the role of spoilers, altering the result of an election that, in a third party's absence, might have taken another course. This happened in 1912, when former Republican President Theodore Roosevelt ran as the Progressive Party candidate for president. Roosevelt won 27% of the vote, mostly coming at the expense of the Republican William Howard Taft, enabling Woodrow Wilson, the Democratic nominee, to win the presidency with only 42% of the popular vote. The presidential elections of 1968 and 1992 were also influenced by strong third-party candidates. In 2000, Ralph Nader, the Green Party candidate, won only 2.8 million votes, but analysts think that most of his votes came at the expense of Democrat Al Gore. The nearly 100,000 votes Nader won in Florida may have tipped the election to Republican George W. Bush. Bush captured the state by a thin margin of 537 votes, and due to that victory, gained 271 electoral votes, just one more than needed to win the presidency. Third-party campaigns have come in various forms. Some have represented regional or sectional interests. For instance, today's Republican Party began in the 1850s as a regional party in the North and Western states. It only became a dominant national party after the Civil War. Likewise, in 1948, South Carolina Senator Strom Thurmond ran as a Dixiecrat. While he won only 2.4% of the vote, his votes were almost entirely concentrated in the South, enabling him to win 4 southern states and 1 electoral vote from Tennessee, giving Thurmond 39 electoral votes. Some third parties are ideological, supporting a particular set of issues, as was the case with the Populist Party in the late 19th century and the Socialist Party in the early 20th century. The latter advocated radical transformation of the U.S. economy to curb corporate influence and give more power to workers. In the 21st century, the Green Party promotes environmentalism and social justice, while the Libertarian Party favors limited government and individual rights. Some third-party efforts are focused less on ideology and more on the appeal of a charismatic leader. Teddy Roosevelt's 1912 run to regain the presidency reflected both his reform-minded agenda and his personal appeal. Similarly, H. Ross Perot, a successful business leader, had a strong third-party candidacy in 1992 and 1996, based largely on his appeal as a common-sense leader. Perot's success, winning nearly 1 out of every 5 votes in 1992, underscores the difficulties that national third-party candidates face. Whereas Thurmond won 39 electoral votes with only 2.4% of the national vote in 1948 because he had a strong regional appeal, Perot won 0 electoral votes despite taking 19% of the popular vote. It's important to note that third-party campaigns have difficulty challenging the two major parties' grip on power due to institutional and political barriers, including difficulties being listed on the ballot, gaining media attention, and raising money. In addition, the system of plurality rule elections in single-member districts favors the two major parties. The small vote totals of most third-party candidates do not necessarily accurately reflect support for those candidates. The institutional and political barriers make it very difficult to mount viable third-party campaigns, particularly in presidential elections, when candidates must campaign across the country and where huge amounts of money are needed to compete effectively. But perhaps most directly, third parties in the United States are hampered by Duverger's law. French sociologist and politician Maurice Duverger, writing in the 1950s, recognized that single-member district elections decided by plurality voting rules will result in two parties dominating elections, As he put it, a simple majority single ballot system favors the two-party system. By this argument, two factors push politics in the United States toward a two-party dominant system. First, third parties rarely have the ability to attract the most votes or a plurality of the votes in a one-round election in a constituency that is electing only a single individual. Second, minor parties gradually disappear due to the lack of support since voters who see little likelihood the party will win refuse to vote for the third party on the grounds that doing so is wasting their vote. On the other hand, Duverger also noted that electoral districts with multiple seats, awarded based on proportional representation, tend to support multi-party systems.